Chosen one, stop. I need you to freeze right where you are. Do not let your thumb move another inch. And do not treat this second as just another blip in your day. If you turn away now, so if you let the noise of the world pull you back into the scroll, you are walking away from something that may never return to your doorstep again. This is not a random occurrence. You are not listening to my voice because of a glitch in the machine. You were meant to arrive at this exact point, at this exact millisecond, before the shift completes. Listen to what the Spirit is whispering to your heart right now. My child, lean into the stillness. You have felt the pressure. You have felt the heat. But know that I am the one refining you. I have arranged this meeting because your season of obscurity has served its purpose. Stand at the edge of your awakening, for the dawn is yours. The fact that you are hearing these words is the first piece of evidence that a massive arrangement has been made in the heavens on your behalf. There is a precise surgical alignment taking place in the spiritual realm, and you were summoned to witness it. Can you feel that subtle electric pressure in your chest, that heightened sense of alertness in your spirit? Most people will call that anxiety, but you know better. That is a signal. It is the vibration of a threshold opening. You are standing on the very lip of a new dimension. And tomorrow morning, the moment your eyes open to the first light of day, everything you thought you knew about your journey is going to be rearranged. This isn't a gradual improvement. This is a divine interruption. I'm going to be straight with you. The next few minutes are the most critical of your entire year. If you stay here, if you lock your eyes on this revelation for the next 5 minutes, your morning will not be the same. The sun will rise, but it won't be just another sunrise. It will be a meeting point between your past endurance and your future authority. You have spent so long feeling like you were shouting into a void, like your prayers were hitting a brass ceiling, like you were the one God forgot. But I am here to tell you that every tear you shed in the dark was counted. Every ache in your soul was noticed by the one who selected you before the foundations of the earth were laid. You were never overlooked. You were being kept. You need to understand the weight of where we are going. By the time we get to the heart of this message, you will see why the waiting felt so heavy. You will understand why the delays were actually a form of protection. If you leave now, you'll go back to the confusion. You'll go back to wondering why your life feels stuck. But if you stay, you are going to receive the activation that turns survival into an assignment. We are talking about a force that doesn't just improve your life, it frees you. Old restraints that have held your family back for generations are losing their grip right now. This isn't symbolism, this is a spiritual intervention. Think back to the stretches of silence. Think of the prayers you never even had the strength to say out loud. Heaven was leaning into your timeline during those quiet moments, weaving a new chapter through your very breath. You are a seed that has been pressing through frozen, unforgiving ground for what feels like an eternity. To the world, it looked like nothing was happening. But deep in the dark, something alive was working. You are about to bloom in a way that will baffle your critics and stun your enemies. God isn't looking for your perfection tonight. He is looking for your surrender. Your wounds, they didn't disqualify you. They trained you. Your scars, they aren't marks of shame. They are your proof of survival. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I am going to show you how to recognize the signal of the dawn. I'm going to show you how to steward the power that comes at the meeting point of your faithfulness in His timing. The enemy wants you to click away because he knows that if you hear the specific instructions for tomorrow morning, his grip on your finances and your peace will be permanently shattered. But you're still here. You're still listening, which means you have the clearance to go deeper. This is the moment where the internal readiness meets the external move. While the rest of the world sleeps in ignorance, a resolve is forming inside of you that cannot be broken. We are clearing the space for what must arrive. We are looking at the same divine shaking that woke up Gideon in his fear and Esther in her hesitation. What is coming for you is personal. It is a breakthrough shaped specifically to the contours of your unique calling. It's not just an outward change in your circumstances, though that is coming. It is an inner rebirth. Dormant gifts are stirring awake as I speak. Your purpose is catching fire again. As the night settles and the atmosphere around you thickens with the presence of the holy, realize that you are becoming the very miracle you used to pray for. This shift is not a small decision. It is a destiny-defining pivot. And as we move forward into the mechanics of this awakening, I'm going to reveal why the early hours of tomorrow morning hold a weight that you cannot afford to ignore. We are moving from the why to the how, and the transition is going to be as sharp as a lightning bolt. Let's look at why the dawn has always belonged to those who are willing to listen before the world demands their attention. We have established that you are standing at a divine threshold. But to step forward, we have to look back not with regret, but with a new set of eyes. For many of you watching this, the last few years haven't just been hard, they've been agonizing. You've endured stretches of waiting that felt like a desert with no end. You've practiced a quiet, grueling endurance while everyone around you seemed to be crossing their finish lines. You've carried prayers in your heart that you were too tired, too broken, or too discouraged to even whisper out loud. I need you to hear me right now. Not a single tear you shed fell into the void. Not a single ache in your spirit went unnoticed by the master architect. Every moment where you felt like you were shouting into a hollow silence was actually a moment of intense formation. Listen to the heart of the Father for you in this moment, my precious one. I know the weight of the silence you've carried. I was there when you felt abandoned, and I was there when you chose to trust me through the tears. Your waiting was not a delay of my love, but the development of your strength. The season of the seed is over. It is time for the bloom. Think about the nature of a seed. It's buried in the dark, cold, unforgiving ground. To the outside world, it looks dead. It looks like it's been forgotten. It looks like it's been buried alive. But inside that shell, under the crushing pressure of the earth, something alive is working. Something is pressing, transforming, and building the energy required to do the impossible to break through the frozen ground. That has been your life. You felt buried, but you were actually planted. You felt like you were in a tomb, but you were in a womb. And now the signal in the spirit realm has officially shifted. The season of quiet endurance is closing its doors, and the season of manifestation is breathing its first breath through you. In the American psyche, we often obsess over perfection. We think we have to have it all together before we can be used. We think our mistakes, our failures, and our detours disqualify us from the big assignment. But heaven doesn't wait for you to be polished. Heaven responds to your surrender. Your wounds, they didn't make you a victim. They made you a veteran. Your scars, they aren't marks of failure. They are the evidence that you survived what was meant to destroy you. In the kingdom, your brokenness is actually your greatest credential. It's the cracks in the vessel that allow the light to shine through with the most intensity. While the rest of the world sleeps, caught in the routine of another ordinary day, something is forming inside you with a quiet, steely resolve. It's an inner readiness that you didn't even know you were building. It's the strength of Ruth, who gleaned in the hot sun of obscurity, never knowing that her faithfulness was leading her directly to a royal destiny. It's the courage of David, who spent years tending smelly sheep in the wilderness, being ignored by his own family, while a crown was waiting for him in the silence. It's the resilience of Joseph, who sat in a dungeon for crimes he didn't commit, only to realize that the prison was the final step before the palace. None of those moments were accidents, and neither is yours. What is coming for you is deeply personal. It's not a one-size-fits-all blessing. It is a breakthrough shaped specifically to the contours of your unique calling. I want you to imagine a force that doesn't just help you, but a force that actually frees you. Imagine the limits you've accepted as normal just falling away like dry leaves. Imagine the restraints that have kept your family stuck for generations simply losing their grip, not through your striving, but through a divine intervention. This is a shaking that is clearing the space for what must arrive. You've been through the fire, and the fire has done its work. It burned away the wood, hay, and stubble. It burned away the people-pleasing, the ego, and the reliance on your own strength. What is left is pure gold. What is left is a chosen one who knows that they cannot do this on their own. And that is exactly where the power lies. Because when you are weak, that is when the strength of the Creator becomes perfect in you. You are moving from the survival mode where you were just trying to get through the day into assignment mode, where you are stepping into the reason you were born. I need you to stay with me as we move deeper into this, because we are approaching a crossing point. By the time we reach the end of this revelation, you will understand why tomorrow morning is the most important appointment on your calendar. If you click away now, you are going to miss the mechanics of how to handle this shift. You see, an awakening isn't just something that happens to you, it's something you must participate in. It requires a partnership between your spirit and the spirit of truth. The enemy is terrified of this part too, because he knows that if you realize your pain had a purpose, he can no longer use your past to paralyze your future. He wants you to stay in the lament season. He wants you to keep replaying the moments where you were hurt, betrayed, or overlooked. But the signal has changed. The light has turned green. You cannot keep sitting at the intersection of your past when the road to your destiny is wide open. As the night deepens, I want you to feel the weight of the anointing of the dawn. There is a specific power that belongs to the early hours, a lineage of awakening that goes back to the very beginning of time. Abraham, Moses, Hannah, they all had one thing in common. They were willing to rise and listen before the world demanded their attention. They were willing to meet God at the edge of the morning, and you are being summoned to join that lineage. But before we can talk about the dawn, we have to talk about the resolve that is forming right now. While you are watching this, it's a shift from hoping to knowing. It's a shift from begging to stewarding. You aren't just a person in a crowd, you are a gateway. What God is about to do in you is going to ripple outward to your children, your neighbors, and your community. Your breakthrough matters because it's the beginning of a resurrection story that will touch everyone who witnesses it. As we transition into the next segment, I'm going to show you exactly why the early hours are the key to your activation. We are moving from the philosophy of waiting to the strategy of rising. There is an awakening approaching your life that has been traveling toward you for longer than you realize, and it's about to collide with your reality. Are you ready to see how the dry leaves of your past are making room for the new growth of your tomorrow? Let's talk about why tomorrow isn't just another day, but a threshold where unseen power finally presses into time. We have processed the pain, and we have recognized the purpose in the planting. But now we must address the atmosphere as it stands right now. There is a specific, heavy weight to the early hours of tomorrow that cannot be ignored. We are standing at a threshold, a spiritual crossing, where unseen power is literally pressing into the fabric of time. I need you to understand that you aren't just being encouraged tonight, you are being summoned. You are being called to rise early and stand at the very edge of an awakening that has been traveling toward your life for longer than you can even imagine. This isn't just about a change in your mood. It is about a divine shaking that is designed not to break you, but to finally and permanently free you. Think about the trees in the American autumn. They don't struggle to let go of their leaves. They simply release them because the life force within is preparing for something new. That is what is happening to you right now. Old thoughts that kept you small, fears that you've spent years learning how to manage, and limits that you've accepted as your normal are beginning to lose their grip. They are falling away like dry leaves, clearing the space for the massive growth that is scheduled to arrive with the sunrise. And this movement, it won't stay contained in your prayer closet. It is going to travel through every single layer of your life. What once felt stalled, that relationship that's been on ice, that career path that looked like a dead end, that dream that seemed to have lost its breath, it's all about to start breathing again. I'm telling you, doors that have been sealed for years, doors that you thought were rusted shut by no's and not now's, are going to respond to your very presence tomorrow morning. What you've waited for quietly is going to arrive without the need for force. There has always been a peculiar, raw power at dawn in the American spirit. We respect the early riser, the pioneer who gets up before the sun to claim the land. But in the kingdom, the dawn belongs to those who are willing to listen before the world demands their attention. Scripture is obsessed with this moment. Think of Abraham rising early before the promise unfolded. Think of Hannah meeting God in the quiet before the day could speak back to her sorrow. Think of Moses ascending the mountain while darkness still covered the camp. These weren't just early birds, they were early listeners. They knew that whoever captures the morning captures the day. When you wake early tomorrow, you aren't just starting a routine, you are stepping into a lineage of awakening. You are being stirred by a command from the throne room, not by a habit or a clock. Tomorrow morning is going to wake up more than just your physical body. It is going to ignite something in your spirit. It won't be soft, and it won't be gradual. It's going to come with a sharp, piercing clarity. A fire is rising inside you that will finally separate routine from calling. This is your activation. This is the shift from survival mode into assignment mode. You're going to feel it in your awareness, a sudden electric knowing. Everything you endured, the years of questions, the silent faith, the why me moments, it's all going to converge into a single, unstoppable momentum. Imagine waking up and the fog is just gone. What once confused you will suddenly feel ordered. The doubt that has hung over your head like a cloud will thin out and vanish under the light of this new revelation. You will recognize your calling not as some vague idea or a maybe someday dream, but as a deep, unshakable knowing. What was prepared for you long before you were even born is going to feel reachable for the first time. And hear me closely, this awakening will not stay hidden inside you. It is moving outward. Your very presence tomorrow is going to carry a weight. Those near you, your family, your coworkers, even strangers in the grocery store are going to feel steadier, lifted, and drawn to you without even knowing why. A force is being awakened in you, not for display, but for impact. This is not a small decision you're making by staying here. If you keep moving through life without this kind of discernment, you could drift toward destruction and never even realize you were off course. So, I'm asking you to stop, pause, take a holy moment right here and become fully present, because there is a reason your journey has been so much more intense than everyone else's. The resistance you faced, the hell you've walked through, was never meant to crush your spirit. It was meant to prepare you for a weight of glory that you cannot yet see. Every delay taught you a patience that most people will never possess. Every closed door trained your discernment. Every betrayal you survived without turning into a monster refined your ability to trust the right voice. In America, we love the self-made hero, but in the kingdom, the hero is God-forged. You are being shaped for something that requires unusual strength, not the kind of strength that comes from never falling, but the kind that rises after being knocked down 1,000 times. That kind of grit cannot be taught in a classroom or a comfortable life. It can only be forged in the fire, and the fire you walk through. It wasn't random. It was specific to the weight of the crown you are about to carry. Some are called to lead, some to heal, some to create, but your calling required a particular kind of breaking so that when you finally step into it, absolutely nothing in this world will be able to shake you loose. The enemy knew this. That's why the attacks felt so personal. That's why the isolation felt so cold and deep. That's why the pain lingered long after the wound should have healed. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. And I have a message for you tonight. The preparation is complete. What you are about to step into tomorrow morning is going to require every single lesson you learned in that valley. The patience you developed when nothing was moving is now your fuel. The faith you built when you couldn't see a foot in front of you is now your vision. The resilience you gained when you had to drag yourself off the floor one more time is now your foundation. None of it was wasted. All of it was necessary. There is an anointing coming your way that isn't given to the most qualified or the most polished. It is given to the surrendered. God doesn't need your answers. He needs your yes, while the questions are still hanging in the air. Your feeling of inadequacy isn't a barrier, it's an invitation. When you feel unready, that is exactly when you are most ready, because you know you can't do this on your own. You are exactly where He wants you, dependent, leaning, and trusting not in your own strength, but in His. As we prepare to move into the final stretches of this revelation, I want you to realize that the passive place you've been living in is being demolished. You are being summoned to take hold, to press in, and to contend. You aren't fighting for victory tomorrow. You are fighting from the victory that has already been won. The battle is over. The enemy is defeated. Tomorrow morning, you wake up as the enforcer of that victory. But there's a deeper dimension to this shift, a ripple effect that is going to move from your spirit into your family, your city, and your community. We are moving from the individual awakening to the kingdom movement. I'm going to show you how your private yes is about to trigger a public resurrection and why your story is about to become a bread for the hungry. We are moving from the threshold into the impact, and you need to be ready to walk through the door that is opening even as I speak. Let's talk about how your transformation is about to go public. We have crossed the threshold of the dawn, and we have felt the fire of activation stirring in our spirits. But I need to take you into a deeper truth. This awakening was never meant to be a private event. It's not just a warm feeling for you to tuck away in your pocket. The shift starting in your spirit right now is designed to ripple outward until it touches every corner of your world. In the American heartland, we know that when a single stone is dropped into a still lake, the ripples don't stop until they hit the shore. Your life is that stone. What begins in the quiet of your morning is about to send shock waves through your family, your household, and your entire community. You were never meant to be saved just for yourself. You were designed to be a gateway, a door that swings open so others can find their way through. You were meant to be a lighthouse, not a candle hidden under a bowl. This is why your breakthrough matters so much more than just your personal comfort. It is the catalyst for a much larger movement. Think about the resurrection of Lazarus. When he walked out of that tomb, it wasn't just about one man getting his life back. It was a testimony that shifted the atmosphere of an entire region. It taught his sisters that delay is not denial. It showed the disciples that death is not the final word. One man's miracle became a nation's evidence. Your story is carrying that same weight. The places where you were once bound, the addictions, the cycles of poverty, the emotional cages, those are the exact places where you are going to set others free. The battles you fought in the secret of the night, when no one was watching your struggle, have become the very weapons you will hand to those still in the fight. The wisdom you gained while wandering in the wilderness is becoming the bread you break for those who are starving for a way out. This is the power of a life transformed by the dawn. It never stays private. It always inevitably goes public. Not because you're looking for a stage or seeking a spotlight, but because light, by its very nature, cannot help but shine. When people see you tomorrow, when they look into your eyes and notice that the heavy fog has lifted, they're going to start asking questions. They're going to wonder how you're still standing after what you went through. They're going to want the peace that you're carrying. And in that moment, you won't have to offer them a complicated formula or a 5-step self-help plan. You will have a single, powerful answer. His name is Jesus. But I need to be real with you. This awakening is not an automatic pilot system. It requires your active, daily participation. God is moving the mountains, but you have to be willing to walk the path. He is speaking the word, but you must be the one to listen. He is opening the gates, but you are the one who has to step through. This is a sacred partnership. It's the meeting of divine initiative and human response. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, I'm pleading with you, do not just roll over and hit the snooze button on your destiny. Do not treat the sunrise like it's just another routine chore. Wake with intention. Wake with a hunger that says, I am not leaving this room until I have heard from the one who called me. Sit in the quiet before the noise of the world, the emails, the news. The social media has a chance to colonize your mind. Let the first words you hear be his words. Let the first thoughts you think be aligned with his truth. This is how you steward an awakening. You give it the priority it deserves. As you do this, you're going to notice a peculiar shift. The day will feel different. Your circumstances might be exactly the same as they were yesterday. The bills might still be on the table. The challenges might still be waiting, but you have changed. Your perspective will be sharper. Your discernment will be clearer. You will move through the chaos with a steadiness that baffles the people around you. People will literally stop you in the hall or call you out of the blue because they sense that you've met with the architect of the universe before the world had a chance to tell you who you are. You are anchoring yourself in a truth that the day cannot test, and that makes you dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. We are entering a dimension of intimacy that many people talk about, but few ever truly enter. It's not because it's a secret club, it's because it requires a level of surrender that most are too afraid to make. It requires letting go of the steering wheel and trusting that the one who made the stars knows how to navigate your life. But you have already proven you're willing. You stayed through the long stretches of waiting. You kept believing when the world told you to give up. You are still here right now, pressing into this message because you are ready for what comes next. And what comes next is a depth of relationship where his voice isn't a distant echo, but a constant living guidance. You are about to enter a season where the supernatural becomes your normal, where miracles aren't a once-in-a-lifetime event, but an expected part of your day, where provision doesn't cause a panic attack because you have a deep-seated assurance that your Father is the owner of the cattle on 1,000 hills. This isn't about being religious. This is about claiming your inheritance as a child of the King. You were granted authority on this earth, but that authority must be exercised. Access must be used. So many people know the promises in their heads, but they never transfer them to their hearts. They believe God can, but they never step out as if he will. I am calling you out of that passive place tonight. I am summoning you to stop begging for crumbs and start taking possession of the banquet that was already paid for. This shift in your posture changes everything. When you stop asking if and start declaring it isn't, the atmosphere around you has no choice but to adjust. Heaven responds to a heart that is in full alignment. Angels move when they hear the voice of authority rising in a chosen one. Tomorrow morning, you aren't just waking up to a new day, you are waking up to your power. But with this realization comes a heavy responsibility. You cannot walk in this level of anointing and still entertain the compromises of your past. You cannot carry this fire and still play with the things that God delivered you from. The call is higher now. The standard is clearer. But don't let that scare you, because the grace provided is greater than the requirement. God never promotes you without preparing you, and he never opens a door without giving you the strength to walk through it. As we approach the final moments of this revelation, I want you to feel that authority rising in your chest. You are no longer fighting for a victory. You are enforcing a victory that was won 2,000 years ago. We are moving toward the final seal of this message, the moment where you declare your yes so loudly that hell has to back up. I'm going to show you how to anchor this in stable season so that even when the storms come, and they will, you will not be moved. We are moving from the awakening into the inheritance. Are you ready to claim what is yours? This brings us to the ultimate realization of this journey. We've discussed the ripple effect, the authority you carry, and the weight of the assignment. But now we must face the reality of the sunrise that is currently racing toward your doorstep. Tomorrow morning is the most stable season of your life, beginning in real time. Not because the world will suddenly become quiet, but because you will finally be anchored. In the American landscape, we often look for stability in a bank account or a political shift. But true stability is found when your spirit is so rooted in a promise that no storm can shake your foundation. You are about to step into a rhythm where the pressure of the world no longer dictates the peace of your heart. But here is the honest truth that most people miss. The awakening you've been praying for is not automatic. It requires a final, decisive act of surrender. God is moving, but you must move with him. He is speaking, but you must be the one to tune the frequency. He is swinging the doors wide, but your feet are the ones that have to cross the threshold. This is a partnership of the highest order, the divine initiative meeting a human response. So when you wake up tomorrow, do not treat it like a rehearsal. Do not roll over and let the day happen to you. Wake with an expectation that borders on certainty. Sit in the silence before the world starts screaming for your attention. Let your first breath be a prayer, and let your first thought be anchored in the truth of who you are. This is how you steward a miracle. You give it room, you give it time, you give it priority. As you do this, as you consecrate those early hours, you're going to notice something undeniable. The day is going to feel different because you have changed. Your discernment is going to be sharper than a two-edged sword. Your confidence will be steady, not because of your own ability, but because you've already met with the one who holds the day in his hands. People are going to see it. They're going to notice a shift in your countenance. They'll ask if something changed, and you'll just smile because you know the secret. You aligned with heaven before the earth had a chance to distract you. You remembered your identity before the day could test it. This is the power of a consecrated morning that establishes the atmosphere and determines what has access to your peace and what does not. When you begin in alignment, chaos loses its grip. I wanted to take you into a deeper dimension of this intimacy. There is a place in the spirit that many people never enter, not because it's locked, but because it requires letting go of the steering wheel. It requires a trust that doesn't need to see the whole map. You've already proven you're willing. Your endurance through the waiting proved it. Your persistence through the fire proved it. And the fact that you are still here, listening to these words, it is the final proof that you are ready for what comes next. What comes next is a relationship with the Father where his guidance isn't vague, but specific, where his presence isn't an occasional visit, but a continuous dwelling. You are entering a season where the supernatural becomes your baseline. This isn't arrogance. It's your inheritance as a child of the King. You were given the keys to the kingdom. Now it's time to actually use them. Authority must be exercised. Access must be used. You are being called out of the passive, hoping for the best place. You are being summoned to take hold of the promises that have your name on them. Stop begging for what has already been bought for you. Stop asking if, and start declaring it is. When you change your posture from a beggar to an heir, the entire spiritual atmosphere around you has to adjust. Angels move, demons flee, and what was once stuck begins to flow like a river. Tomorrow morning, you wake with this authority rising in your chest. You will speak to the mountains in your life, and they will move. You will command peace in your household, and the storms will cease. Not because you're special, but because you finally realized whose you are. But remember, with great access comes a higher standard. You cannot carry this level of anointing and still entertain the compromises that used to define you. The call is higher, the focus is tighter, but the grace is more than enough. God doesn't call you to a mission without equipping you for the battle. He doesn't promote you without preparing you. This is where your faith becomes a lifestyle. It's no longer just an idea in your head, it's a conviction in your bones. And when that conviction settles, fear has no place to land. Worry cannot take root because you are built on a foundation that cannot be shaken. I want you to take a moment and let that sink in. The night is deepening, and the dawn is approaching. As we speak, heaven is aligning resources you haven't even thought to ask for yet. Angels are taking their positions. Doors are unlocking. Paths unclearing. What has been held back is being released. What has been delayed is being delivered. Can you feel it, that stirring in your spirit? That isn't wishful thinking. That is the Holy Spirit bearing witness that your time is now. No more waiting, no more questioning. The season has shifted, and you are ready. You are more prepared than you know. Every battle you fought was training for this. Every test you passed was preparation for this. Nothing was random. It all had destiny attached to it. Now, as we reach the end of this message, I want to invite you to do something practical. Go to the comments right now and type 999 or 777 along with the word ready. Let this be your marker. Let this be your declaration before heaven and earth that you are not lost. You are found. You are not broken. You are being rebuilt. You are not forgotten. You are chosen. And as you do, share where you are watching from. Let's watch as God gathers his people from every corner of the globe. Your voice in the comments is part of a movement, a collective yes that is rising from every nation. If this message is landing in your spirit, hit that like button as an act of agreement. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on those notifications. This isn't just about content. It's about staying connected to the frequency of what God is doing right now. We are moving toward a goal of 10,000 subscribers, and your presence here ensures that these words reach the ones who need them most. Tomorrow morning, You wake as someone new. The old life ends tonight. The new life begins at dawn. Heaven is watching. All of creation is holding its breath to see how you will respond. Will you rise? Will you receive? You weren't brought this far to turn back now. You were made for more. You were called to more. And tomorrow morning, that more begins. Be ready. Stay awake. Keep watch. The awakening is here. The transformation is upon you. Open your eyes, open your heart, and open your hands. This is your moment. This is your time. Tomorrow, everything changes. But tonight you decide. Choose destiny. Choose him. Sleep tonight knowing that when you wake, nothing will ever be the same. The dawn is coming, and with it, your destiny. We have traveled from the shock of the sudden summons to the deep, refining fires of the valley, and finally to the edge of the most stable season of your life. But as we close this chapter, we must distill the essence of everything we've shared. The ultimate meaning of this journey is simple yet life-altering. Your preparation was never about your punishment. It was about your positioning. Every moment of silence you endured wasn't God ignoring you. It was God protecting the development of a version of you that could handle the weight of the crown you are about to wear. The lesson for every soul watching this today is that truest authority is birthed in surrender. You cannot command the morning if you haven't first surrendered your night to the Father. You have learned that your scars are your credentials and your waiting was your training. The story of your life is not a series of random accidents, but a meticulously crafted masterpiece where even the delays were divine appointments. You are the chosen one not because you are perfect, but because you were willing to stay in the fire until the gold was pure. As you move into tomorrow, remember this: the dawn doesn't just bring light, it brings a new version of you. The old you stayed in the valley, the new you is ascending the mountain. Now, as the screen fades to black and you return to your world, carry this weight of glory with you. You are an enforcer of victory. You are a gateway of light. You are a testament to the fact that the one who began a good work in you is more than capable of completing it. The awakening isn't coming, it has arrived. It is in your breath. It is in your pulse, and tomorrow morning, it will be in your reality. I am so grateful you have stayed with me until the very end. This message was for you, and your response is what anchors it in the natural realm. If this video touched your heart and you feel the fire of this awakening rising within you, please comment 999 right now. Let it be your spiritual signature on this promise. If you feel I can improve or if this message didn't quite resonate with you today, please comment 0. Your honest feedback helps me refine this content so I can serve this community with even more power and clarity. Share your thoughts, whether it's a prayer, a testimony, or a question. Leave a comment below. I want to know your perspective because we are a remnant rising together. And finally, if you want to stay connected to this flow of strategic intelligence, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support is the fuel that gives me the motivation to keep releasing these revelations. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a summon. Tomorrow, everything changes. I'll see you at the dawn.